So I joined Downside in first form, which is year 7 in 2018. So that was in third form, because in third form, everyone does it. And then after that, in fourth form and upwards, it's a choice. And obviously I decided to stay. So we have a CCF session every Wednesday afternoon for an hour and a bit, or maybe an hour. And we often, so it's works like this, the third form have their own kind of separate things. So because it's compulsory for them, they experience both the Navy and the Army sections. So they'll go on a rota, and that's run by the upper 6th NCOs and potentially some of the lower 6th if they need more hands on deck. And then in fourth form and upwards, they're the people who have chosen to stay on in the CCF, which means obviously they do really enjoy it. And they get qualified in, the different stages, and they learn how to do drill and weapons handling and different advanced tactics and things like that. With CCF, we're attached to the Irish Guards. I don't know really. I just think I loved the running around and getting muddy. That was one fun thing to do, because you can't really do that any other time. So there was that, and I also really. I've been looking into going into the army, which I am now doing. Well, I've always been interested in the army, not necessarily as a career, but just in general. And then I think it was in the lower 6th, Mr. Pollard said, there's these army scholarships that they offer, and then you go to Sandhurst and you commission as an officer, and then you go in and do 4 years in the army, well, a minimum of 4 years unless you want to stay on. So I was kind of interested by that, so I applied. And I got through all the different stages, and they've got this, that and the other to do, medical, then you've got just assessments, and they find out a bit more about you in a first interview. And then if you get through all of that, they invite you to the board, which is 2 nights, 3 days of different types of testing. So you've got the psychological testing, physical testing, and then more interviews, and they cover everything about you, so they can get a really good picture of how you function under stress and how you would work how you'd operate in the army and if you cope with it. And then I managed to get through that, so I was given the scholarship, which means after I've done a degree in university, I'll go to Sandhurst. Well, obviously fitness is quite important when you're going into the army, and there were minimum standards that you did have to meet, which were the same for men and women. But a big part of it was also psychological ability and your personality. They had a whole section on your personality, you had to do a questionnaire, so there was that as well. So yeah, I think so. I think to just look at one side of things and say just men is quite narrow-minded. I think if you really want to get the best out of something, then you look at all the possibilities, and I think women have a lot to offer. I was put forward by Mr. Barrett, who's the head of CCF, for being a Lord Lieutenant Cadet. And what that is that in Somerset, there's I think 6 cadets that work alongside the Lord Lieutenant, and they attend various functions and events and things. So one of them, I think my first proper event was Remembrance Day. So I attended a service in Wales, and that was really good. So that's the sort of thing we do. We have various duties that we go to when we're invited. In terms of the leadership, I definitely think CCF helped me with that, because, when you progress through the ranks with the work you put in, and I'm head of CCF, so I did, I had to show that I could be a good leader, and I really think being in CCF since third form has helped me be that. So, I do like learning about the history of things, and Downside CCF, I think it was originally an OTC in 1909 or something, and I loved hearing about the history of how Downside did send a lot of people to World War I and II and things. So I really appreciate that sort of history. And then, of course, actually being in the CCF and every Wednesday afternoon attending the sessions and all the people there, I hope they enjoy it. Being the leader, I really hope they enjoy it. But yeah, and then the staff as well make it really fun. Well, of course, in third form, you have to be there. So you might as well just try and make the best of it, make the most of it if you can. And I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea, but we try and make it fun as the NCOs. And then in fourth form, you do get to learn a lot more, and you become more advanced in your qualifications. And I think if you like going outside and thinking about going down routes of discovery that you wouldn't usually do and you wouldn't usually consider in the classroom, then CCF is definitely a really good place for that.